everybody, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining me today again on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. So today we're going to dive into from Barton Distillery out of Bardstown, Kentucky. This is going to be the 1792 Bottled in Bond. This is coming in at 100 proof or 50% ABV. Mash bill on this undisclosed, however, it's thought to be one of two, either the 74% corn, 18% rye, 8% malted barley, or the 75% corn, 15% rye, and 10% malted barley. So there's a little bit of, some guessing as to what the mash bill is, but those are two of their popular ones, and probably more than likely one of those two. It is non-age stated, but again, with it being bottled in bond, we know it's going to be a minimum of 4 years old. MSRP on this is right around that $45 price point. So for really what it is, it's a nice price point in today's day and age. So, all right, let's go ahead and we'll kind of get into the review. So color-wise, you can see this is kind of like a light amber, kind of a light copper type of color. So it's not giving you the impression that there's a huge amount of age on this just based on the color profile of it. So, and again, move the whiskey around in the glass, introduce a little bit of air. Generally speaking, that will, kind of help to, improve hopefully the flavor profile of the whiskey. And then second, you'll kind of get an idea of the oils that are there. And for this, it's actually very oily and it's really coating the glass very well, which generally speaking, you'd like to see. And hopefully that will translate over to the palate, allow some more of those flavors to kind of linger and really kind of develop the overall flavor profile of it. So, all right, let's get into the nose. All right, so right away, a really nice kind of rich caramel note that's there. Nice vanilla. So far, a very kind of traditional type of bourbon nose. Kind of a light oak, light spice type of aspect to it. Actually, more of the spice is really kind of starting to come through on it a little bit more now. Slight black pepper note that's there. Even a little bit of cinnamon there as well. And actually the cinnamon quickly kind of, switched from that over to like kind of a fairly predominant like nutmeg type of note. Even a slight bit of citrus that's there as well. More of like maybe an orange type of citrus. Not super dominant like on the sweet side, but maybe a little bit of like the orange peel, orange zest, but it kind of still definitely lets you know there's like an orange zestiness to it. And again, not a lot of heat or ethanol coming off of this. Very approachable so far. Again, still some of those lingering kind of like vanillas and caramels are there as well. Yeah, nice, really nice note. Very kind of traditional type of sweeter bourbon nose so far. So more importantly, let's see how this one tastes. Cheers. So right away, you get hit right on the mid palate with a really nice kind of layer of rye spice that's there. That was really nice. Followed quickly by some of those like the vanillas, the caramels. So some of the spice kicks in right away, kind of starts to not really go away, but transition over into a little bit more of the sweetness that's there. So some of the vanillas, the caramels that are there. Yeah, it's still lingering right there on that mid palate. So it's really nice, a nice spice. Like it's very, almost like effervescent to it. Yeah, that spice really kind of continues to linger on it. The oak presence kind of starts to shine a little bit in this one. Now here comes some of the citrus that's there, a little bit more of that cinnamon, that nutmeg aspect that I was getting before on the nose. With this, actually, this is kind of interesting. So before I was getting on the nose, still a little bit of that citrus, but just kind of something that popped in was like more of like a green apple aspect. There's a little bit of like a tartness that's there to it now. Slight bit of slight dryness that's there. So this is when things for me start to dry out, that this is where I start to pick up a few of those like leathers, the tobacco type of notes, just because those are things that I associate with kind of that drying aspect to it. Yeah, the that green apple kind of continues to linger a little bit. So yeah, you get some interesting waves, you know, up front with immediately some of the spice on the mid palate, transitions over into, again, a little bit of that, like the sweetness, a little bit more of that, like the caramels, the vanillas, still, again, a little bit of that cinnamon, nutmeg type of note to it. A really nice everyday, you know, bourbon. I think this would be one that would, I don't know if I would introduce this as like an introductory type of bourbon, but I think for anybody who just enjoys that general bourbon profile will really like this. I know when I was doing a little bit of a blind tasting with my wife, she really enjoyed it. Now again, the 100 proof you know, area is like kind of like her sweet spot. So if there's anything that gets much above that, she's not super crazy about it, but she really liked the sweetness of this one. Thought it was, you know, a lot of those, again, those caramels, things along those lines. So maybe this would be a little bit more of one that would be approachable to somebody just kind of looking to get into the bourbon game, and or just for anybody who enjoys a really nice, well-balanced, well-put-together bourbon. This has really kind of everything that you could kind of ask for. I think it's just a really good everyday type of bourbon. I guess finish-wise, you know, it's maybe on the medium side. Again, some of that spice kind of continues to linger. And as I've talked, it's kind of a combo of like a little bit of that green apple tartness, but with still some of that orange citrus that's there as well, if that makes any sense. You know, followed by, again, some of the spice, the oak, the vanillas, caramels. So I guess one thing I would say is, as the whiskey is kind of developed or kind of coated your palate, it's actually gotten, I would say, even better as it gets closer to the finish part of it, and as it sits on your palate a little bit more. I'd say it does kind of have a tendency to linger a little longer than I initially thought it was. So overall, like I said before, I think it's a really nice, solid, you know, bourbon. And again, for $40, bottled and bond, great category for bourbons, one that I'm a huge fan of. I think, again, I would give it a buy recommendation. I think it's just a solid everyday type of bourbon. So with that being said, leave some comments. Let me know your thoughts, your experiences with the 1792 bottled and bond. Always interested to hear people's feedback and thoughts on these particular whiskeys. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of those places. If you like the content that I've been producing, I would appreciate your support. You can follow or you can support the channel through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. And really, yeah, I mean, again, going back to the whiskey, fantastic. I think it's just a great everyday type of bourbon. So with that being said, again, thank you so much for tuning into another one of my reviews. Greatly appreciate it. And as always, remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.